Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. I am back from vacation. I meant to record last week. I think I went into last week assuming that I would record, but I didn't, and I don't really regret that because I was really tired and I didn't want to. Sorry, there's just like wool all over my desk. That's like stuff that flew off the Swift when I wound yarn. And of course, the moment I decide I need to clean it up is the moment that I start recording this. So yeah, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving if you live in the US. If you don't, I hope you're having a really nice start to your December, because it's now December, which is crazy. So yeah, I didn't record last week because I was sitting on the couch and I was not working. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. I am not recording. It would have been nice, but I've never actually gone home for Thanksgiving. Like, this is the first year I've been in Vermont for Thanksgiving since I was probably like 8 years old, because we always went to Canada when I was growing up, and I lived in Canada for college. And since then, it's just like not really a holiday we celebrate at home. Like, it's really expensive to travel there. So I don't know. I've had a variety of like things that I did during Thanksgiving that weren't going back to Vermont. That was just like less expensive or more fun things, because it's not really a holiday that my family like deeply wants to spend together for any reason. But yeah, my dad has chronic fatigue right now, and so my parents can't really go anywhere, and I had to go to Philadelphia for the race. So I just went home basically from there, and I actually had a really nice time. But Thanksgiving break is very short. I was in Vermont from Tuesday night until Saturday morning, so that's not very much time. So, and we were like eating for most of it, because it was Thanksgiving, but also because I had just run a marathon and I was really hungry for like a week. I'm still really hungry. So the marathon went really well. I will not go into too many details because I'm just kind of done thinking about it. But all the things that I wanted to do in the race, I did. So mostly I beat the time goal that I wanted to beat, which was 4 hours. I came in 21 seconds under 4 hours. And marathon courses, most courses like this, half marathons and marathons, are long because you have to weave in and out of people, and like you're taking the long way around a curve or whatever. So like the total distance I ran was like 26.5 miles. So I actually ran an official marathon distance, and like I beat my time goal by like 3 or 4 minutes, but yep, my chip time was like 3:59:39 or something. And due to a very unforeseen set of circumstances, I had a great race, despite having a very, very, very anxious few days before the race that, again, I'm not going to go into that because it was like circumstantial and made me insane. And it was my birthday, and that was like a whole thing, but the race happened. It was fine. I was really, really proud, and then I got to go sit for a long time, and I got to go to the Wicked movie. So some of you have probably already seen the Wicked movie. If you haven't, and you like musicals at all, you should go see it because it is incredible. I was a big fan of Wicked. Well, I still am a big fan of Wicked, but I was like really into Wicked from like ages 13 through 16, and I saw it on Broadway like once a year during that time. And it was like my favorite thing in the world. And I went by myself the Tuesday after the race, and I was in Boston staying with a friend, and I was waiting for another friend to finish work so we could drive to Vermont. So at like noon on a Tuesday in the rain, I walked 2 days after a marathon several miles to a movie theater in like on the North Shore of Boston, and I saw Wicked by myself because I was like, there were a lot of other people in the theater, but I didn't know any of them. And I just thought, like, the first time I watched this movie, I don't think anyone should watch me watching it. Like, I will be in tears for most of it, which I was. Not most of it. I really enjoyed it. But then I went again the next day with my parents when I got home, and we were driving home, and I said, guys, finally I have achieved my goal. And they said, what's that? And I said, the ability to see Wicked every single day if I want to. And they laughed, and they were like, yeah, you couldn't do that when it was just on Broadway. So yeah, I love Wicked, and I listened to was like listening to the soundtrack while I was running the marathon. Not the new one. I didn't want to listen to the new one. I mean, it's really good, but I didn't want to like, I hadn't watched it yet at that point, and I was like, don't spoil it for yourself. So I made like a 4-hour long playlist for this marathon, and I placed Wicked very strategically, like almost at the very end. Again, like I said, strategically, I wanted to have my boost of like my favorite thing ever at the very end of the marathon when I knew that I would need it. So I listened to Defying Gravity at mile 25, and it was my second fastest mile of the marathon because I got so jazzed, because it's just like, I don't know, I got really excited. But anyway, and all of this nice week off culminated in me getting to go to the Woolly Thistle for Small Business Saturday. So I flew out of Manchester, New Hampshire, because that was the only way I could get out of Vermont for like under $1,000 on a one-way flight. Not 1,000. It was probably like a $600 flight from Burlington to Reagan though, and I was like, that's stupid. I don't want to do that. And my mom was like, oh, I can just drive you to Manchester. So she very generously, because that is not super close. It's like 2.5 hours from Vermont, from where we live in Vermont. But the Woolly Thistle's on the way, so we went there for a few hours. My mom got to go to King Arthur flower, which she loves. I love it too, but I was the Woolly Thistle. So I didn't go with her. And I just was there hanging out, picking colors for people, made some new colorways. Like I pulled some colorways for kits for my Natalie cowl. I would show you that, but it's not, I don't know where it is. Where's my sample bag? Oh, it's probably over there somewhere. I have a bag full of, I know it, it's like a huge IKEA bag. Where is that? Maybe it's in my closet. Anyway, so I got to do that, and that was really nice. Got to see Corinne and Jill, and Ven, who is Jill's child, who works at the Woolly Thistle. And that was awesome. We had such a good time, and lots of people came in, and we had such a nice visit. So that was great. But I will say, like, I didn't even knit that much last week. I really went into last week anticipating that I would be knitting the whole time. But sometimes, you know, you're like not in your normal routine. You're on vacation, you're sleeping in, and you're just being like lazy. And I did knit probably every day. I just didn't knit that much, and I didn't have any desire to like power through a bunch of knitting every day, because I was like, I just kind of want to sit here and eat like a lot of the week. But I made some progress, and I did bring it to show you, of course. So I made some progress on my pressed flowers, and I also panicked that I wouldn't have enough yarn, but I think I will have enough yarn. So is there a tape measure in the vicinity? Probably is. Oh good, I was looking for that row counter. Anyway, this is the pressed flowers so far, and I need to measure it, but I also think that I need to block it as is to see how much it will grow, because I have a feeling that it will a little bit, not a ton, but like it definitely has the capacity to grow this way, and it feels bunched, and I think it will relax. So I think I'll probably get a couple inches if I do this, and it's like the length it's supposed to be. So I need to measure it mostly so that then I can wash it like in this format, and then I can figure out how much it grew so that I can then knit the rest of it accordingly so it's the correct length, and I don't waste yarn like needlessly lengthening it when it's going to lengthen itself anyway and then run out of yarn. So it turns out, unsurprisingly, the thing that used the most yarn was the hem here, because this was only blue. Obviously, there's not as much blue used here. So what I need to do is, I think I need to wash it to see how much it's going to grow. Then I need to finish the like body up to the sleeve split, do the like back and the front pieces, block it again, and then I need to knit the button band right away so that I'm not going to run out of yarn. Then I'm going to separate however much blue I have left into 2 equal balls by weight, and then I'm gonna knit the sleeves as long as I possibly can, and I think I'll probably be okay. But like Caitlin's, I totally got inspired to knit this from Caitlin from the Woolly Thistle, because she knitted a really pretty one also in her handspun, that's like light gray, and well, the light gray was like Ulcentrum or something, but then she used her hand spun just like me. So she used a commercial yarn with her hand spun, and it looked so good that I was totally inspired to knit one as well. And hers does not have full length sleeves. They like come down to here, and it looks awesome. Like it totally works that way. So if that happens to mine, I will not be upset because I know that it looks really good on hers, and I will just decide that it's fine. Because this is like a yarn that I really can't get more of this blue. So I think I made the right choice in knitting a sweater that I don't think I'm gonna run out of yarn, but like hopefully don't run out. So I did work on this last week. Like I said, this is kind of my priority right now. So it's kind of the thing that I start with every day if I'm gonna work on something. Just because I think mosaic is one of those things that like, it doesn't grow very fast vertically because you're only using one color at a time. There's a lot of slip stitches. So when I knit, mosaic is one of the reasons that I wanted to like track the rows every day so that I knew that I was making steady progress, even when I felt demoralized because it wasn't getting as long as I wanted it to be, as fast as I wanted it to do that. But I'm actually not really having an issue with that because I'm enjoying the stitch pattern and the yarn so much that I don't really care. So it's just been fun. But yeah, I think I might have missed a couple days. Just like yesterday, Advent started and it was like a whole thing. And stuff. So I've just been like, okay, now I'm back in my routine. It's Monday. I will work on this tonight. So doing a good job on this one. This one, I don't know how much of this I had done the last time I showed it. This is the Svensson by Jared Flood. And this is just the front piece, or the back piece, I guess. So there's like the honeycomb, it's kind of almost like a faux cable, but it is real cable. It's just that it's closed with purl stitches instead of more cables. It has the tiny little herringbone cable, and then it has the antler cable. So actually not very difficult, like in terms of the execution and like memorizing it. You just have to keep track of which row you're on because the antler cable only has a cable row every 10 rows. So, you know, but it's a good time. And then we finish it with moss stitch. So again, like I said, this is just the front or the back. I am keeping track of my rows in a notebook, or a piece of paper at least that's in here. So yeah, but I did not knit it all on this last week. I brought it with me, and I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it took up a little bit of room in my suitcase, but I brought home a really big suitcase because I had to bring stuff home for Christmas gifts for other relatives who live in Canada because my mom drives across the border and sends packages from Quebec instead of paying like 3 times as much for shipping. So I didn't work on that despite actually bringing it home, but I did work on the neon green sweater. So this always blows out. So it will, oh, actually, maybe it's not. I don't know though. I'm not seeing this. Anyway, oh, maybe it's not going to blow out today because maybe the light's perfect. So this is my Fiola sweater by Isabel Kramer. Can't remember if I had finished the body last time or not, but I finished the first sleeve. You can really see, so the body is blocked and the sleeve is not blocked. If you ever wanted a lesson in why blocking is important, you can just look right here at this shot, because again, this part's blocked. You can see exactly where the sleeve starts because right there it gets really knobbly, and right here it's really smooth. That's why you need to block stuff. And the sleeve has this lace pattern. So again, blocked, not blocked. You can see how nicely the lace is open, and it's like all nice. I mean, it's a little less easy to see, a little harder to see. There is a word for that, Emma. But yeah, it will open and it will be all nice. And yeah, did a little cuff, and now I'm working on the second sleeve. Again, you can really see where the sleeve starts because it doesn't look nice. Luckily there isn't a whole lot of, it doesn't seem to be a lot of, or a big like line where I changed, because this is a new skein, so there's not a color line though, which is nice because I have not been helical knitting. Actually, I totally helical knit some of the body, and I think that was really unnecessary because I don't think the skeins were actually different at all. Like the variation, I'm sure they're different a little bit because they were in a dye pot, but like the variation is so vague that like I don't like, the variation is throughout each skein. It's not between skeins. So yeah, anyway, I've been making progress on this and I'm almost done, and I would like to try to put a solid amount of work into this week and just finish it off. Because then I will have a sweater done and that will be nice. And because I have these 2 other sweaters that are like a little bit more complex, both a lot more complex in fact, but one of them, the cable one, is quite complex. I think if I work hard at pressed flowers, I can finish it before Christmas, but I try not to make those kinds of promises to myself anymore, because like I realize the capacity that I have and the actual reality of my life tend to be different. Like, yeah, I have the capacity to do a lot of knitting projects, but like either I don't want to give them time, or I get like magpied into something else with knitting. So again, I'm trying to like, obviously knitting is a goal-directed hobby, and almost everything I do is a goal-directed hobby if I do anything, but like I'm trying to not have the goal be like, finish this thing by this time, and instead just be like, do this for my own enjoyment, and I get something out of it, and that's great, and I can either keep it or give it to someone else. But at the end of the day, I do it for my own enjoyment. This is why I do church music now too. Like, I mean, I guess you could call it a goal-directed hobby. It's not really a hobby because I'm a professional, but like, I don't do it for money. I do it for joy. So that's, money is just a perk. I do it just fun, and I get to hang out with my friend, and well, many friends. I have lots of friends at church, but like Monica, that was the organist, and we're just, you know, I wouldn't get to see her that much otherwise, and we have a fun time. So, you know, that's good. But yeah, yeah, knitting is obviously a goal-directed hobby. So is running, because I have like, I'm like, well, I want to run this marathon in this amount of time or whatever. Just not that productive. I did take some time away from running after the marathon, obviously. I couldn't really do stairs very well for a couple days. So again, I was in Massachusetts at that point. I was in Boston for 2 days. Well, I went to Boston on Monday on a train, got there in the evening, so not 2 days. Stayed at my friend Lauren's. We went to get Thai food with our other friend Ivy. The next day, went to Wicked, and then Ivy and I drove home, and it took like 5 hours because there was so much traffic. So yeah, I was thinking about doing a tiny desk knitting with Ivy, but then I was like, you know what, we're both gonna be home at Christmas, so it's fine. So I had yeah, I obviously didn't run Monday and Tuesday, didn't run on Wednesday. I had only brought 1 pair of shoes with me in my suitcase, my running shoes, and they were my like racing shoes, which are not something I would want to wear on an easy run, because first of all, you would wear out the nice foam and the carbon plate, but which are expensive, but like also they're very unstable if you're not going really fast. So yeah, because I don't know, they have a high stack height, and the foam is really springy, and so you got to be careful actually wearing them for easy runs. So I had ordered a new pair of shoes from a Black Friday, like, you know, now Black Friday is just the entire month of November. So I'd ordered like new shoes and new socks, and I got some clothes from running clothes from Janji, which is a brand that I like that mostly does like trail running stuff. So I had a bunch of things at home waiting so that I could run if I wanted to. And I went for a run with Ivy on Thursday. We wanted to do like a turkey trot, but we didn't do an official one because I was like, I don't know if I'm actually going to walk on Thursday. So let's make sure. So but I could actually run. It was just slow. And Burlington has a lot of hills, so that was sort of hard on my legs, but we ran like 5K together, and it was really nice, actually. I was really glad that I was like able to do it and not die. And the new shoes felt great. I got Asics Gel Kayano shoes, which are a stability shoe that I don't really need the stability shoe, but I have a little bit of an alignment problem on my right side, which could probably be fixed with an insole. But the Asics Kayanos at this point, like, they don't just make them for people that need stability. They also make them for people who run a long way and they just want to like preserve their form on a longer run. So that is important if you run really long distances. So I actually got them for that main reason. But they felt awesome. I've had no ankle pain. I mean, I've run like a total of 8 miles since the marathon, but I've had no ankle pain, so that's nice. So yeah, I went for a run yesterday before church, and then discovered that I had a flat tire. Hadn't been on my car for a week, and it wasn't fully flat, but I'm very sensitive to tire things because I live in Baltimore City, and I've had so many tires replaced because there's just nails all and screws and stuff all over the streets. It is a menace. So, and I street park, so in an area where there's a lot of construction. It's not because Baltimore is a dangerous place. It's because there's a ton of construction, and construction folks are not careful. Like, on my street, they're building a parking garage, like right there across the street. And I don't actually park on my street very much because it's very narrow. And you can only park on one side, and there's not a lot of spots. So I actually hardly ever even drive down my street because there's just never spots. But sometimes I do. And one time I was getting into my car. It was parked right in front of my house, and I got into my car, and they had this, like, a bunch of this parking spaces roped off because there was like huge, like, appliance trash that the construction site was getting picked up to be carted away. And I like looked at the ground, and I found like there were tons of like screws this big, like this long, just like 4 or 5 of them, like right in front of my car, like on the street, that I could have driven over so easily. And I picked them all up, and the guys, like, they didn't yell at me, but they were like, "Ma'am, someone's coming to collect the trash." And I was like, "Thank you so much. There are screws on the street. I'm gonna pick them up." So I picked them up, and I always do this. I just put them in my car, and like I don't move them, so I have like a collection of old screws and nails that I found on Baltimore streets. I should throw them away, but it's almost like a collection. A couple of times I've called 311 because it's really bad, and they sometimes tell me that they're like, "Yeah, if you needed a new tire, like, you know, if you have the receipts, like we'll maybe, like, we might be able to reimburse you for that." And I was like, "Well, I don't right now because this happened too long ago or whatever, but, like, you know, good to know for the future." So that's bad. Anyway, so it's a long digression. Yesterday, and it might even just have been from cold weather, but the other 3 tires looked normal. Anyway, whenever I get back from a trip, I look at my tires, and I could tell that the driver's side front tire was like not fully inflated. And I checked it with my little tire pressure gauge, and it was like 25. My tires are supposed to be 32. I'm sure the other ones were only like 30 because it's gotten really cold here all of a sudden. But I was like, I'm not driving. I'm not filling. I have a thing that fills up my tires with air. Like, I have a little portable thing in my trunk because this happens all the time. But I was like, I'm not driving that to DC and back. Even if the leak is slow, which it clearly is, I'm not driving that. But it was like 8 in the morning, and I needed to be at church at 9:30. And the only way to get to church by 9:30 is to drive. So I was like completely screwed. But then I ended up taking Nitin's car because he's in India, and he had left me his key in case there was a snow emergency, like his car key. I have a key to his apartment, but he left me his car key in case of a snow emergency that I had to move his car. So I texted him, and he was luckily, like, it was early enough in the morning here that he was still awake there. And I was like, "Here's what's going on." And he was like, "Take my car." So I took his car to church. And then ironically, on the way home, I got a low tire pressure warning, but he has very sensitive sensors. Like, they just suck. No matter how much you calibrate them, he gets these warnings all the time, and like he'll check, and they're all the tires are fine. So luckily that was what happened, but I like had a moment of panic driving his car home on 95 in the dark, and I was like, low tire pressure, oh my god. And then I had to like take it. I parked it at his because there was a Ravens game last night, and then I needed to take my car to the Goodyear this morning. And I was like, maybe I should take Nitin's car to work. But then I was like, no, if they can't fix my car before 10 a.m., I just won't. I'll just work from home today, which is what I ended up doing. But yeah, that was, oh my gosh. So then I had to drive Nitin's car back to I didn't really even need to do this, but I drove Nitin's car back to my neighborhood to check the tire pressure because I didn't do it last night because the tires were hot. And I was like, I just need to go home. It's like 8 o'clock at night, and I took a scooter back to my house. But so I just drove it back to my neighborhood this morning, and while I was doing that, there was a school drop off. Like, it was like 8:30 in the morning, and there was a school drop off. And I, like, all these cars were like parked in the middle of the street, like as though they were double parking cars in, but like they weren't double parking. Like, no one was actually parked in the spots. So it was really stupid. Like, it was just so stupid. And I did something so stupid where I like scraped the curb with the same exact tire that's a problem on my car, actually, with his car. And I was like, oh my God, that's terrible. Like, what if I like, because we'd already talked about this, and I was like, there's like a nick on the side of it. And he's like, because I was like, maybe this is a problem, but like, I don't think it's a load-bearing nick. Like, I don't think it's an actual hole in the wall of the tire. So there was already that, and then I scraped it against the curb. Not that hard, but I was like, what if I just messed up? Like, what if I just tore a hole in the wall of his tire? Like, I was like, well, I'll go replace it. Obviously, I'll just take it to Goodyear and replace this tire, or have 2 tires replaced if necessary. But I don't think there is a load-bearing hole in the wall of any of his tires, because I checked it again like 30 minutes later just to make sure. So like, I was like, I can't believe that I just, like, all of those things happened in like the span of 24 hours. Like, successful marathon performance. I just, like, cosmic karma just needed to come and get me. On the other hand, I did what I had to do yesterday, which was get my posterior to church for 9:30, and then sing. I had to sing all day, and if I hadn't have made it for the morning, I would have had to make it for the afternoon on like a train or something. So it was fine. Okay, back to knitting. I'm still like a little freaked out by all of this, but I think it's fine. Back to knitting. I also, while I was at the Woolly Thistle, I saw this in person for the first time. The new West Yorkshire Spinners holiday yarn called Yuletide. I am a huge sucker for these West Yorkshire Spinners Sparkle holiday yarns. Huge sucker. I like that they're not limited edition. Like, they come out with a new one each year, and then they keep producing it, and so now they just have this massive collection. But I really liked this one. I didn't get the one last year, and I should have. It was nice. The Nutcracker, I think it was the Nutcracker one. But last year I made a pair of socks during December with the vintage tinsel colorway. Wonder if I can find them. Oh, there's a pen on my lap. So like I said, I actually know where my FO thing is. Oh, that's not it. Huh. Yeah, I don't actually know where that is. I don't think it's here. Well, somewhere. I have a huge collection of socks. Oh, there it is. Okay. I found it. And I did show these last year because I made them last December, but I made this pair of socks last year with the vintage tinsel colorway that were like a really simple pattern. It's like, it's just like a 2x2 broken rib. So yeah, it was like a pair of socks where the one round was just knit every stitch, and then the next round was knit 2, purl 2. And so you get this broken rib. And I just really liked this for like a self-striping sock. It was like a little different than plain vanilla. Fits my foot better. Anyway, I decided to do the same thing. Sitting in the Manchester airport, cast these on because I also got a new pair of needles, which was smart. And it looks a little different with the stripey, the like red and white, orange and white, and yellow and white stripey things, but I think it's fun. And I made this kind of a gold heel with another yarn. So that's what it looks like, just plain stockinette, which is really fun. I also have I was thinking of doing this same gold for the toe, but I also have like a dark or a kind of a nutty brown that I think would go really well. So I think I might do that instead for the toe. I just did a regular cuff because I knew I wasn't going to interrupt the stripe pattern, but I don't like breaking the stripe pattern for the heel when I don't know. Like this one, it's just like really conveniently used the exact, like I broke it in the middle of a red stripe and ended up, yeah, like this was convenient. Like the only thing that's weird is that there's this really thick red, like right here, the red stripe is thick, but it matches on both socks. They're the same. So, but I didn't know if that would be the case with this colorway, like if the stripe sequence was the same amount. So I just decided that instead of breaking the stripe sequence, I was just gonna do this, and I like it. It's nice. So that's fun. Anyway, I did the entire sock up until the heel turn by the time I landed in Baltimore. So that's a fun fact. It takes me about 4 hours probably. Maybe not even, maybe 2.5 to 3 to get all the way to where this little guy is. So yeah, I woke up yesterday morning, and before my run, because it was still dark out, I did the heel turn and then got a little bit done last night and this morning. So I'm enjoying this, and I'm trying to not prioritize it over my pressed flowers, but I am totally prioritizing it over my pressed flowers. Oops. Oh, and now that I've grabbed this, you can see this is my Natalie cowl that I designed earlier this year. Actually, I designed it a couple years ago, but this is I released it earlier this year on Ravelry. It's just a Mobius twist cowl. And I mention it because when I was at the Woolly Thistle, they made kits for this when I released it in like March or something. And I was at the Woolly Thistle pulling new colors, so I need to get those to the Woolly Thistle so that I just thought it would be nice to have a new set of colorways for the accessories cowl that's going to start in February, just so they can have a little bit more time to prepare, because I often am like a bit last minute about sending them stuff. So yeah, but if you want to knit a cozy colorwork cowl like this with a Mobius twist, somewhere up there you can get the pattern for this. And I should have mentioned it earlier, but you can also use my affiliate link for the Woolly Thistle to get any of the yarn you want. I used Jamieson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight for this, and my affiliate link is also somewhere up there, so that's fun. Yeah, you can shop there. They're the best, so definitely do that if you want some nice yarn. And I didn't say what I was wearing today. This is the, what's like the city pullover? It's by Tanis Fiber Arts. City Lights? I don't know. But I'll link the pattern in the show notes. It's a fade that goes from light to dark, where you're always holding 2 colors together of fingering weight yarn, and also I held a mohair double. So you can see that it fades from like light teal to dark teal based on like, you're like holding like A plus A plus B, B plus B, B plus C, C plus C, C plus D, like that all the way through E. There was 5. And I had so much fun with this. And it's like you knit it on the correct side, but this is the reverse stockinette side, so you turn it inside out when you're done. And then there's this like knit raglan here. And the knit seams go all the way down the side. It's just like a fun detail. It has nice short row shaping. Everything is finished with I-cord. It's really nice. I really love this sweater. And I wish I could remember what it was called, but it's in my Ravelry page is in the show notes, so you can see it there. But I've made this pattern like 3 times. I made this exact same thing for a sample for the yarn store where I used to sell my stuff in, like the local yarn store in Burlington, where I sold the yarn that I dyed. They probably still have it, but it was pink and it didn't have any mohair, but it was nice. I had a good time with it. And yeah, my mug cozy game is still strong, but I don't know if I've knitted any new ones since I was last recording. So I'd done these 2, which have different color dominance. This one has the colors as the dominant, and this one has the white as dominant. And I do think like here you get the sense that this is the shape, like it's this square inside or diamond shape inside the little thing, whereas here these pop out as the main shape, and the diamond here is just kind of like empty space. Like that's not the focus, but here that diamond is the focus, whereas here it's not. You can kind of see that, which is fun. Also, the star is more, yeah, it's just, it jumps out at you more than it does here. But I actually kind of like that it's in the background. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And, you know, things look differently on the other side anyway. So, yeah. But I don't know if I showed these ones. These ones were new last week. I probably did. Or I made these the week before the marathon. I made these. So I think I probably showed them. If I was working on them on the weekend, then I would have shown them. This one's a little murkier. I used a gray instead of a white for the background, and then I just chose some like darker, moodier reds and purples with that bright pop of turquoise. This one, I know I showed this last time, but I love this color combination. So this is the one that's available on Ravelry up there, the Starry Cozy. I have not made a pattern for this specific one yet. Was it Ivy? I think it was Ivy who told me, or maybe it was the folks of the Woolly Thistle. Can't remember, but somebody told me you should do a mug cozy club. Like really have people can subscribe and you release one every month. That's a new design. It's like, that's a pretty good idea because it's actually pretty easy to create the pattern. I don't have to write anything new. I just have to put a new chart in. So it's actually not that, it wouldn't be that hard to do that if people wanted to make a new one every month. It's a nice way to play with colors, have fun with Fair Isle. So yeah, maybe. But yeah, oh, and I opened my socks for December, which, again, I haven't cast them on or anything because I'm not really, I say I'm not really into socks, but I totally am into holiday socks. But I love this colorway. I actually dyed most of these myself, but this was actually tagged for sale, but I clearly didn't bring it to the store. This was when I used to sell my stuff at Must Love Yarn, and I named this one Eeyore's Gloomy Place, which I thought is a fun name. So yeah, this is a nice color. Actually, I really like this purple. I think there's a lot of like nuance to it, but it's like a deep, like, it's tonal. It's really tonal. I love it. So eventually I will actually knit a pair of socks with these, and it will be a really nice pair of socks. Just not today because I'm too busy working on these. And I've decided to write this pattern and release it probably this month because it's really simple. And I've like told everyone how to make it already. Like, it's literally just 1 round knit, 1 round 2x2 rib. Just keep going. That's the stitch pattern. But that's not like an intuitive way for everyone to just knit socks. So I will write it up and I will have it on Ravelry like in the next couple weeks, hopefully. Don't necessarily hold me to it. This is my goal. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of Advent. I'm planning to name them the Helmsley socks because Helmsley is my favorite Advent hymn. We got to sing it yesterday at church for lessons and carols, and I really ripped that descant. It was awesome. It's really good. Monica played it so filthily. It was great. I was talking to somebody on the way. We're just like with people from the choir walking to lunch yesterday in between services. And I was talking to my friend Matthew, and he said, you know, I like that hymn, but there's no harmony, so it's like less fun. And he's a tenor, so he usually gets to sing the harmony, and I'm like, I don't do that anyway. But I was like, yeah, you say that, but like, because the whole hymn is in unison, the organist can do whatever they want with the accompaniment, and so Monica can just make the whole thing, every single verse, crazy, and she will because she loves me and other people and cares about them having a nice Advent too. So yeah, that was awesome. She did a great job. She made it really filthy, and we get to do it again next week, so I'm sure it will be even, if possible, filthier or just as filthy. I think Monica usually makes it up in her head as she plays. So most organists do that. It's kind of the point of improvising. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say. So eventually the Helmsley socks will be done because I always knit West Yorkshire Christmas socks during Advent. And I think that this is a fun pattern to use for, this would honestly work for any West Yorkshire spinner's yarn. So some of it does have the like clearly delineated stripes. And your socks would look like that if you knitted them in one of those yarns. And then some of the socks do not have clearly delineated stripes. They have the like, I mean, they are delineated, but they have like, you know, patterns within. It's like the country birds ones are like this. So those socks, if you did this, that pattern would look more like this. Like a little chaotic, but not too bad. Fun for sure. And again, you can always use contrasting heels and toes. You don't have to. It will break up the stripe sequence if you don't. And if you want the stripe sequence to be like perfect, you should use afterthought heels or forethought heels. But like in a way that you don't even have extra stitches for a gusset, because that will make a couple of stripes a little bit smaller. You can't really tell when there's such a busy pattern. You can't really tell, but it is different. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm not really reading or watching anything new. I've watched a lot of like a couple dumb Christmas movies, and I've watched Wicked, so that's what I've been watching and listening to. I started listening to a new book because I finished Little Women finally, and I started listening to a new book called Big Sky by Kate Atkinson, which is really good. Kate Atkinson is so good, and my mom always has a lot of her books on Audible, so that one's like one of the Jackson Brodie mysteries. So I've been listening to that, and it's really compelling. The narrator is really good. But I plan to listen to Intermezzo by Sally Rooney soon. Ivy lent me a copy, and then I left it at our friend Lauren's house in Boston. But my mom has it on Audible, and she just finished it, so now I can listen to it so that Ivy and I can then discuss it, because we have a kind of like unofficial book club, because we always read the same books, and sometimes we send them to each other when we're done, which is really nice. But yeah, so fun. You can buy my patterns if you want. Natalie Cowell and Starry Cup Cozy. I've already put them up here, but I'll put them in the show notes too. And stay warm, everyone. Hope you have a really nice December. And if you live in the Southern Hemisphere, I guess it's a warm December. And that you stay sane during the next few weeks, because this can be a really crazy time. I've already had like a crazy day and 2 days with the car troubles, so I'm really hoping that that is the most dramatic thing to happen to me this December, because my marathon was full of drama, but again, it ended good, so that's good. Also, when I crossed the finish line, the person who gave me my medal knew who I was from knitting, so whoever you are, that was great. I gave you a huge sweaty hug, and I complimented all your knitwear because you had knitwear on, and it was like the funniest thing in the world, like that I like in a completely different like place from where I usually live, and like doing something completely separate from knitting. I crossed the finish line and someone was like, "You're the knitter," and I was like, "Yeah, yes I am." Like worlds collide sometimes, and it was just like I'd had, again, like I said, it was a dramatic time, like leading up to that race and then running it due to circumstances outside my control that involved other people, and me being really, really nervous about that. But again, ended good. And I was like, you know, after just like absolutely redlining it for like the last 10K of that marathon, holy crap. I just thought it was really like refreshing, and like completely took me out of my head to have somebody be like, "You're a knitter," and I was like, "I am a knitter. Yes, thank you. I can't believe you knew that." And I'm like a sweaty mess right now, and have just like barely come in under my time goal for this stupid race. But you know, basically the race was about unfinished business. There was a lot of unfinished business, and some of that unfinished business came upon me 3 days before the race. But like I also had unfinished business with the city of Philadelphia, because I went to grad school there and I hated it, and that really wasn't Philadelphia's fault, but it was kind of like symbolic for me to run this marathon there, and have like, I called it my Philly redemption tour. I finished all of my business with people and cities during this race. I'm so glad to just put it behind me and move on to the next one. So yeah, that's it for today. So stay warm or cool if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, or the South, I guess. But thank you for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye!